my ankles. The nun constantly gave me extra chores. "As part of my education," she said. But though my muscles ached from the hard work and I could barely keep my eyes open, she could not wear out my determination. I used every task as an opportunity to learn new words. I studied each letter of the alphabet before wiping it from the board. I looked at the labels on cleaning supplies and sounded out the words. I even studied the writing beneath pictures in the hall. These things improved my reading, but I longed to read an actual book. My book. One evening, I hurried through my supper of cabbage soup, planning a hasty escape. I couldn't wait any more. I dashed into the hall, but the nun was waiting for me. "Not so fast, Margaret. There are pots to be scrubbed," she said in a threatening tone, and marched me to the kitchen. With my arms in scalding water up to my elbows, I couldn't hold back my frustration. "I could be reading," I muttered. "What?" the nun demanded, her shoes creaking as she crossed the kitchen. She pinned me against the sink. Slowly, a smile spread across her thin lips. "Fetch me a cabbage from the basement," she ordered. I'd heard stories of children who disappeared down in that dark cavern. I descended each step deliberately, hiding my fear. My hands quickly found a cabbage in the shadows, and I scurried up the stairs. But she slammed the door, shutting out all light. I pulled the handle. It was locked. A scream built in my chest, but I held it in. I closed my eyes, pulled up my stockings, and breathed deeply until I could feel my father's presence. He wrapped his arms around me in the darkness, and I spelled out my Inuit name to him, whispering, O-L-E-M-A-U-N. His proud smile made me stronger, so I worked through the name of my distant home. B-A-N-K-S-I-S-L-A-N-D. I spelled many things from my home and was starting on the title of my book. A-L-I, when the door opened. I squeezed past the nun and returned to the sink. Her angry black eyes raised goosebumps on the back of my shaved neck, but she could not make me cry. When I returned to the dorm room that night, all the girls were giddy. Everyone had beautiful new dark stockings. I pulled off my old ones, took my place in front of the nun, held out my hands, and closed my eyes. The nun cackled loudly as she handed my pair to me. Laughter instantly filled the room. They're red," I stammered in disbelief. "Only circus clowns wore red stockings." I ran to my bed and opened my book. I stared at the letters, holding back my tears until those letters became words, which grew into a familiar story. I could almost hear my sister's voice reading about the cruel queen, and I let the story carry me far away from the laughter. The next morning, I crept quietly to breakfast. But an older girl saw me and called out, "Fatty legs!" as bits of food fell from her mouth. "Fatty face!" I shouted back, "F-A-T-T!" The nun swooped in. "If you cannot get along with the others, you can tend to the laundry," she hissed. I entered the laundry and stood beside the large vat with the fire crackling beneath it. And then the idea came to me. I knew what to do with my stockings. I burned them to ashes. I felt like Alice after a bite of magic cake, as large as the entire room. When the nun saw my bare legs, she exploded. "Margaret, put on your stockings," she demanded. I set my jaw and crossed my arms. "I can't." "Why not?" "I just can't." Her face grew very red, and she